You're listening to That Home Loan Hub. I'm Zibuni Solimova, here to make home loans and property investing simple, smart and stress-free. Let's get you closer to your property dreams. Hello and welcome back to That Home Loan Hub. Today we are bringing you one of your most favorite topics that seems to be the topic of the year, interest rates.
Kia ora.
Oh, sorry, I've got James.
Hey, I'm here too. Come on.
I completely forgot my chief economist. James, let's talk about interest rates.
Well, it is interesting, isn't it?
I see the pun. That was awesome.
I didn't even plan that. No, so I follow this really every week just because it's so important. It's so important for our clients to get this kind of information. And so, probably as you already know, the official cash rate was dropped a few weeks ago by the Reserve Bank, 25 basis points or 0.25%. So, and basically what we've learned from there is there's going to almost certainly be two more interest rate cuts, one in October and another in November, taking the OCR down to 2.5%. So that is getting pretty low. I mean, and you may wonder why are we, why is the Reserve Bank continuing to reduce these interest rates? Basically, the economy is stagnating. It's not doing well. You know, unemployment's going up a wee bit. People aren't feeling very confident. So the Reserve Bank reduces these interest rates to encourage people to get out there and start spending again. And generally speaking, lower interest rates are good for people who want to buy a property or who already own one. Not so good for retired people who are earning an income, but from our side of the equation, it's good for people wanting to buy a property and it's good for people with mortgages. So that's why we follow it so closely.
And I believe it's, again, the largest refixes that are coming up, right?
Yep.
People that would have fixed 3 years ago when the rates were slightly higher or lower, depends when you fixed. But you're coming off your refix, you're probably sitting at 6.5%, 7%, and fixing it down at the moment, one of the lower rates is 4.72. If you go down to that, you're saving yourself $200 a fortnight on average, depending on the average mortgage, but makes a huge difference to people's budgets because suddenly you can actually go to the movies with the family.
Yep.
And you couldn't before.
Absolutely.
Or you could start planning a road trip around New Zealand, or you could buy that extra steak and support your butcher. So all these things contribute and have a trickle-down effect. But you're right, I think in the beginning of the year, they were hopeful that the economy will recover faster, and they were taking a very slow approach, but it's not.
It's not, no it's and I think I read something today or heard something yesterday on a podcast. House property prices are actually decreased 0.6% over the year nationally. So that's quite interesting compared to somewhere like Australia where the economy continues to sort of show growth, their property prices are actually growing. So if we compare with Australia, it's much more affordable now for first home buyers to buy a property in New Zealand because of those house prices have come down a bit. Interest rates are low. So if you weren't able to buy a house a couple of years ago, you're more than likely in a much different situation now where you can buy. So it's worth totally looking at that again. The other interesting thing, I came across a client yesterday who had a interest rate. He's coming off an interest rate of 3.25.
Wow.
It must have been from the right in the...
You must have fixed for like 5 years or something.
Yeah. And he was asking me, he was wanting to break it and get a new facility with a different bank. But because at first I was wondering, why is the break fee only $0? But obviously, if you're on that already low interest rate, you don't really want to break it and go into a higher rate. But yeah, so where we're going to, because the market knows and the lenders know there's going to be two more official cash rates, those interest rate cuts are already baked in largely to existing fixed term rates. So even though there's going to be more official cash rates, it's unlikely we're going to see huge changes to mortgage rates over those fixed term periods, especially the longer term, 3-4 years or whatever. they may not go any lower. And maybe the 2-year one might drop a touch, but things would have to go a little quite pear-shaped, I think, for them to fall further. And do you know what I mean? So,
but we are sitting at the lowest since 2022, I believe. You know, it's gone down under 5%. We haven't had it under 5 for such a long time. So if you are thinking about, what I should do, I mean, obviously getting financial advice is a first step, because if everyone's situation is different, and I can't stress that enough. Every time we record this podcast, I can't stress enough that get financial advice. You know, the amount of times I see on Facebook pages going, oh, my interest rate is coming up, what should I do? And you ask the audience and you will get 100 different responses. Because for some people, they might be thinking of migrating to Australia. And they might be looking at selling their house next year. So they don't want to fix for 5 years. But you might be having a baby this year and you might not want to go back to work for 5 years. So having stability over those 5 years and knowing exactly how much you're paying may be exactly what you need, instead of stressing out next year because it's suddenly the interest rate's gone back up again. You know, so everyone's situation is different. So seek a financial advice and tailor that advice to your situation, because that's what we do, right? We go, okay, maybe you should do 6 months or 12 months or 18 months or 5 years, whatever. Depends on your situation.
Absolutely.
What should I do, James? Should I fix my interest rates?
I'd have to learn more about your situation, firstly, as your financial advisor. But if it was I would be locking in the longer. If I had nothing coming up, because 4.72 over a number of years, that's pretty good. But then the other thing, of course, is you don't want to lock in everything in the same term, possibly, because let's say you do lock in 4.7 for 3 years, and then in 3 years, and you've got $1 million worth of mortgage debt, and then in 3 years, interest rates are 10%. You'll be going from you'll have all your debt at 10% in 3 years' time. So sometimes we suggest you split it up a little bit so they rotate it at different periods. Yeah,
and that's exactly what I've done, right? I've got multiple properties, multiple loans, and I fixed them all at different rates. So every 6 months I've got something coming up. And every 6 months I go, okay, let's fix this one now a little bit further, because I can see which one else is coming up in 6 months. And sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. You just... but there were a few that I fixed for 2 years because I was like, I don't want to risk. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not selling anything anytime soon. And I just don't know what the government is doing, because next year, remember, it's election year as well. So again, we just don't know.
We can't forecast like that. There's just no way of knowing. We've got a pretty good idea of what's going to happen this year for the rest of this year. But after the new year, I think all bets are off. You just don't know what interest rates are going to be like in 3 or 4 years. And the reason why you want to rotate, have the different facilities coming off at different periods, is just so that you don't expose yourself too much to something really bad or too much really good. You sort of, just like what you're saying, every 6 months, you might win sometimes, you might lose a little sometimes, but you're not going to do really terribly at any time.
Yeah. And I think like the average of 7-year rates, they will always, they'll look at the average of the 7. In the end, you end up winning because the rates are still historically low compared to, as you say, 10% back in 2010, 11 when we were when I had my house.
Yeah, I think when I bought my first house, it was 10%.
Yeah, exactly. So we're still doing okay on the grand scheme of things, So absolutely. Awesome, guys. Well, the takeaway today is, if you are interested in interest rates, do reach out to us, because we're here to help, right? We don't charge you a fee, and we sit down and we talk through. And if you are listening to this podcast and you're thinking, oh, my interest rates are coming up for a refix, what should I do? Reach out. If you know any friends that are in a similar position, reach out. We'd love to help you. So thank you so much, and stay tuned. And that's a wrap on that Home Loan Hub. Don't forget to hit subscribe and join me next time for more property tips and tricks. Your next smart move starts here.